The old Blackwood Manor stood on a hill overlooking the town, a skeletal silhouette against the moonlit sky. For years, it was the subject of local ghost stories. A place kids dared each other to approach but never enter. That is, until our group decided to change the narrative. There were 5 of us. Liam, the skeptic leader. Chloe, the history buff who knew all the legends. Ben, the tech guy with all his ghost hunting gear. Maya, the artist who wanted to capture the manor's eerie beauty. And me, Jake, the designated cameraman and professional. Liam's idea was simple. Spend one night, debunk the myths, and have a great story to tell. We all thought it was a harmless adventure. We were so wrong. The front door creaked open with a groan that echoed through the cavernous foyer. Dust danced in the beams of our flashlights, illuminating peeling wallpaper and furniture, draped in white sheets like silent, waiting ghosts. The air was heavy, cold, and smelled of decaying and damp earth. Chloe, Eva, the enthusiast, started recounting the tale of the Blackwood family. The original owners, who mysteriously vanished one night in the late 1800s. The story went that Mr. Blackwood, a cruel and possessive man, couldn't bear the thought of his wife, Elara, leaving him, so he sealed the house, trapping them all inside forever. It was a good story, but at that moment, it was just a story. Ben set up his equipment-y, MF readers, temperature guns, and audio recorders. He wanted to catch scientific proof of the paranormal. Liam was already mocking him, tapping on walls and trying to create fake noises. For the first hour, it was almost boring. We explored the downstairs rooms, the grand ballroom with its shattered chandelier, and the dusty library where books lay scattered on the floor as if thrown in a rage. The MF meter stayed silent. The temperature remained stable. Liam was gloating. See? Just an old, creepy house. Nothing more. Then the whispers started. It was faint at first, like the wind whistling through a crack in a window. But there was no wind. We all froze, looking at each other. Ben's audio recorder was picking it up a soft, feminine humming. Chloe's eyes widened. "It sounds like a lullaby," she whispered, her voice trembling. Liam tried to laugh it off. "It's just the old pipes. Guys, this place is falling apart." But there was a new tension in the air. The fun and games were over. We decided to head upstairs. The grand staircase creaked under our weight, each step groaning in protest. As we reached the top landing, a door at the end of the long, dark hallway slammed shut. We all jumped. Liam, flashlight held tight, marched towards it. "Probably just a draft," he said, his voice a little less confident than before. He tried the handle. Locked. Ben pointed his thermal camera at the door. "Guys, ... there's a cold spot. A handprint! Right on the door!" We all saw it on his little screen up. Perfect. Chilling handprint. Several degrees colder than the surrounding wood. Now, we were all on edge. Even Liam had gone quiet. We decided to check the other rooms. Staying close together, we entered what looked like a child's nursery. A single rocking horse stood in the middle of the room, covered in a thick layer of dust. As we stood there, holding our breath, it began to rock. Slowly at first, then faster and faster. A rhythmic creaking, filling the suffocating silence. Maya let out a small scream and grabbed my arm. We backed out of the room, not wanting to see what would happen next. The activity grew more intense. Objects would slide off shelves when we weren't looking. We'd hear footsteps in the hallway, outside whatever room we were in. Chloe found a diary in the master bedroom. It belonged to Elara Blackwood. Her entries started with love and hope, but soon descended into fear and despair. She wrote about her husband's growing paranoia, his possessiveness, how he'd locked her in her room for days. The last entry was chilling. It just said, "He won't let us leave. He says we'll be together forever." In these walls, suddenly, all the lights on Ben's equipment went haywire. The EMF meters screamed. The temperature plummeted. and our flashlights flickered and died, plunging us into absolute darkness. Panic set in. We fumbled for our phones, their small screens providing little comfort, and that's when we saw it. Standing at the end of the hall, where the locked door had been, was a figure. It was tall and shadowy, a man's silhouette, but its form wavered and distorted like heat haze. A low growl emanated from it, a sound of pure hatred that vibrated through the floorboards. Behind the dark figure, another shape began to materialize. It was fainter, more ethereal, a woman in a tattered white dress, her face pale and filled with sorrow. It was Ilara. She raised a translucent hand, pointing not at us, but at the dark shape of her husband. He turned, his shadowy form lunging towards her, and the hallway was filled with a blood-curdling scream that wasn't from any of us. It was a scream of agony and terror, echoing from the past. The locked door burst open, revealing a hidden, bricked-up room. The ghostly figures of Mr. and Mrs. Blackwood swirled into the room and vanished. We didn't wait to investigate. Fueled by sheer terror, we scrambled over each other, blindly running for the stairs. We didn't care about the dark, the creaking floors, or the things that might be lurking in the shadows. We just needed to get out. We burst through the front door and did unstop running until the first light of dawn was breaking over the horizon. We collapsed on the grass, gasping for air. Looking back at the manor, it stood silent and dark, as if nothing had ever happened. We never talked much about what happened that night. There was nothing to say. We had our proof, not on any of Ben's fried equipment, but etched into our memories. We went looking for a ghost story, but we found something much more real and terrifying. We found the tragic, violent end of the Blackwood family, an echo of pain trapped within those walls. The mansion still stands on that hill, holding its dark secret. And sometimes, when the wind is just right, I swear I can still hear a woman's desperate scream. Thanks for watching, and remember, some doors are best left unopened. Please subscribe for more stories from the dark.